Something that has been common in Google Forums for the past several years has been the lack of columns that are available in Google Documents. I've gotten around this in the past by just making a table and formatting my table so that it has no borders and it looks like multiple columns. However, they did recently push out this awesome new feature, so I wanted to show you how you can now, years later, finally make columns in Google Documents. So I just copied over some information that I had in another document so you could see how it would look. Right now I have it as a default, which is basically just one column. If I wanted to make multiple columns in my document, I can go up to Format and go down to Columns. So here in this columns area, you have a couple of default options. You have the one column, two columns, and three columns. So if you were just to select any of these, I'm going to go with two columns at this point, it will add two columns into my document and use default margins and spacing based on whatever I have set as my default. Now you can see that if I add something to the bottom of the column, it's going to move it right back up to the top of the next one. And if we keep on going, should add in, there we go. It adds and continues the idea of two columns to the next page. You can alter some of your spacing right away using the margin tools at the top of your document. You can move those left and right, and that will change the spacing just depending on how you want it formatted. I'm going to undo that for a minute. Delete all of these, and I'm going to show you what the other options look like. So again, you go into Format, Columns, and I can change this to three columns if I decide that three columns is better for the material that I have. So here I have it in three columns. Again, note that it's wrapping the columns. If you want to make a bunch of bulleted lists, you're going to want to be either really careful about how you enter the information into the different columns, or you'll want to maybe use a table and just get rid of the borders so that it looks like multiple columns. There are also a couple of custom options that you can do. If you go into your columns and do more options, you can choose the number of columns from here, but again, 3 is the highest you can do. Here is where you can just alter the spacing. So that means if I don't want it to be at ½ inch, I want it to be a little bit smaller, I can change that here. I can also add a line between the columns. So what that looks like is it changes the spacing a little bit. I had it make it a little bit smaller, and it also adds those lines to help make reading a little bit easier. So again, this feature is still pretty new, and there are probably a few things that will be added to it, a few more options for us, especially maybe only having columns and portions of the document. That's still coming up. So here's how you can use this awesome new, much commented upon feature about adding columns in Google Documents.